Que book lovers, how y'all doing? Hope you had a good month of reading. Personally, I had exams and it took up 7 hours minimum. And after all that reading, I wasn't really feeling it. So it's not a lot of literature has been consumed this month. But nonetheless, as stated before, The Body Keeps the Score was the one we were going to read this month. If you followed along, let me know what you think. This book, what is it about? It's about how your body, mind, and brain actually go through trauma, how it impacts it, it's more about the how and the why of trauma and how it impacts your body and just your health in general. It's interesting. It starts off with a lot of examples of veterans affairs and abuse and rape victims, like very graphic stories actually. Kind of gut wrenching in a way as well. Like some of them are very graphic, but it goes from there. It shows you which parts of the brain like actually take over during moments of trauma. It's either your reptilian brain, the basal ganglia, or the limbic system, which is your mammalian brain. When it's the reptilian brain, you actually go into a freeze mode, like you just shut down. That's what we have in a lot of cases with, for example, rape victims, where they just they depersonalize. It's as if they're looking from another perspective, like, as if it's not them. And the mammalian brain is your fight or flight instinct. And a great example that it shows in the book is this couple. They're driving and they get in a car accident. And the thing is, it's like a chain or like an accordion accident. So boom, they hit a truck. And as they look in the rear view mirror, they see bam, bam, bam. And it was something about like 27, 30 cars or something. But not only that, one of the cars flies over. It gets on fire. The driver gets out and starts banging on the rooftop. And that was for them the climax of the traumatic event. And they started seeing problems and all of that. So they went to counsel for therapy to Bessel van der Kolk, and it's one of those examples where the woman at that instant that they brain test and all of that, at that instant, whenever she's reliving the trauma, she's going into that, she's fully shut off. She's all full on reptilian brain, like it's all blank. Let's put it like that. When the man was going through it, it was his mammalian brain taken over and more of a flight. Yeah, he wanted to flee. He was breaking out in cold sweats. Certain parts of the brain were enhanced. And why is that? It's because when you have unresolved trauma is a memory nonetheless, but you still experience it. A memory, it has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Think about your first heartbreak. Think about graduation or whatever. It's clearly defined and it's compartmentalized in your head. With trauma, it does not have those defining points. It's kind of still going. It's looping. So you're very vigilant, or you might be very aggressive or very shut down. Certain people, after being raped, they just indulge in a lot of food because they feel like, if I wasn't that attractive looking, I wouldn't have gotten raped. So that's like one of those examples that's like interesting to read about. Now, Bessel also argues to step away from the medicinal route or the shock therapy and talking therapy, which it might work for some people, but not enough. It's not efficient enough. We actually gotta not just find a way to bring an end to the memory, so it's something that happened in the past and not something that keeps on re-looping, but as well to connect your brain to your body. This can be done through exercising, but not only that, because that might lead you to like bigorexia, but stuff as martial arts, yoga, EMDR, which is eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, which was like a very interesting part about how you can go through trauma, process it. Same with recollecting your memories and putting on alpha and theta waves. It's very interesting how that influences the brain. So I would definitely recommend The Body Keeps the Score to anyone that's either interested in the topic, has had some type of trauma, or relatives, close friends that has been through it. You will learn a lot and you will recognize a lot if you have some kind of familiarity with it. Now the second book, The Will to Change by Bell Hooks, it's not what I expected. This book I got gifted for my birthday, and it's actually a critique of patriarchy and feminism, as in how feminism has neglected many male answers to like their problems within patriarchy, for which men are not. They don't see it, or we take it for granted. It's the status quo. So it is a critique about the anti-male aspect of feminism and how feminism just does not have a lot of answers for certain men-specific problems. Like we're not talking about the equity, and it covers how it was easy for men to accept the entry of women into the labor force and all of that, but to step away from perhaps the dominator role, the patriarch role within the family, like the stern man that only knows anger, that there's a long way, and how patriarchy potentially cripples men's emotional development. They don't want to make you whine boys. It even says like patriarchal women, or like women in general, are not you. They don't want to. Whenever you're like breaking down or like showing true emotions that isn't just rage, most of the time women don't know how to cope with that. And from personal experience, I've only had one woman that like was actually open to, or like knew how to handle that, while other women will give you like the thing for you're not supposed, like you will break your frame, like your you won't come off as the rock that's supposed to like bear the stoic rock that's supposed to bear the impact. But nonetheless, it had good points, cool stuff to like agree with, disagree with, something that I disagreed with. They neglected the fact that men are actually the true hopeless romantics in a relationship. Women oftentimes chase status, wealth, success within men, while for men in heterosexual interrelationship dynamics, it's not like that. You actually just want a good companion. Other stuff was like calling attention to the fact that war has been not simply a male occupation, but rather an activity that has often served to define manhood itself. Warfare and aggressive masculinity are mutually reinforcing. Kind of disagree with that. Looking back at, there might be like perhaps modern military institutions are like that, but just looking back at it, it made sense for men to go to war. That would be a critique of me from this. It does not take enough into account the biological aspect of it, like just the fact that I have 17 times more testosterone than any female viewer. How my brain is more, it connects differently. It's about equity, yeah, same rights, not about that. That's like my critique on it. But nevertheless, a strong point is made regarding this. Men aren't surviving well. We send them to war to kill and be killed. They're lying down in the middle of the highway to prove their manhood, in imitation of a scene in a recent movie about college football. They're dying of heart attacks in early middle age, killing themselves with liver-and lung diseases via the manly pursuit of drinking and smoking, committing suicide at roughly 4 times the rate of women, becoming victims of homicide, generally at the hand of other men, 3 times as often as women, and therefore living about 8 years less than women. So what bell hooks tried to do here was give certain work points for men and women, and how to perhaps achieve a next step of emotional maturity, which would improve men and females' relationships with each other. So yeah, that was interesting. Will I read more of it? I don't know. It was kind of interesting, but as I said, it's the first time reading like actual progressive literature. So I might just do a video on like progressive and conservative literature in the future. But next book will be The Hobbit. Stay tuned. I will release whatever. I aced all my exams. Catch y'all later. Hi, Tumos.